Right. Welcome to another edition of the Not So Famous podcast. Of course, I am your host, Manager Marco, Home Team Music. And thank you again. Once again, I thank everybody at the beginning of my podcast for subscribing, following my podcast, leaving comments. I appreciate it greatly. It means a lot. Um, and like I said, the more people that latch on to this, the more things I could do with it. So, I'm building it brick by brick. And tonight's a special guest. As I always said that this is a music podcast, but I've always wanted to, I don't plan every show to be a music podcast. And this gentleman I have tonight, I've known him for years. He's been through it. He's a fitness expert, a motivational guy. When I can't help but get motivated when I listen to him talk, and he goes on his lives, and it's my guy. I'm gonna bring him up now, Jabari Nelson. I know him as Earl, and his good friends know him as Earl. But I don't know what you want to be called these days because it's been a minute. But welcome, my brother. Thank you.
I mean, first and foremost, I'm just honored to share this space with you, man. It's just good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We definitely go way back. You definitely were, um, just to be honest, an important part of my life at
Wow.
a different part of my life. You
Holy, I
were
didn't
what
know
I would
that.
consider, yeah, man. You were definitely. We are friends, but at that point in time, I saw you so much, and you were just one of the realer human beings that I had come in contact with at that time in my life. So um,
I
I'm just
appreciate that.
honored and privileged to share this space and to still be here to do so. So
Right. And that's what I want to get at. I mean, you and I have stories from the bar. I mean, he used to bounce at a bar that I had some interest in, I guess you should say, some investments in. And we had such a good time. I mean, we have stories, but I want to get you on here because of your story, right? Your journey. Let's start with your fitness journey, right? It's safe to say that as a young boy, you were pretty obese as a young boy, right?
yeah, probably from the age of 10, I became aware and conscious of how I just did not look like the rest of my peers,
Right.
and how even at that age, society views you, probably primarily starting with the teasing and the little girls and things like that. But from a very early from a very early age, I was completely aware that my size made society look at me different. So yeah.
Right. Was there like at what point you were like, screw this? Like I'm gonna because when I met you, you were playing football at the college. You were, had me going to the gym, get me in shape. Like, like you were jacked up. I mean, I mean, obviously you're in tip top shape now. At what point did that did that come about where you're like, all right, screw this. Like I'm gonna get in shape? Was it, going into college? Was it before college? Like was there a defining moment?
um well, there was a defining moment, but it probably pushed me more into recluse than actually wanting to do something about it. I remember when I was 16, my family had took a trip to King's Dominion in Virginia. I don't even know if it's still there, but I know it was there at the time.
Right.
An amusement park mirrored, um, for us here in Jersey, it was like a Six Flags for down south.
Sure.
And we were getting on a ride, and I sat down in the ride, and the safety bar wouldn't click. And the way the ride was set up was like, if one safety bar does not click, then nobody can ride this thing.
Right.
So, uh, you know, shout to the gentleman. Don't know who it is. This was years ago, but he came over, and he was persistent. He was like, "Yo, I'm gonna get this thing. I got you. I got you." And he
Right.
kept pushing it, and he kept pushing it. And after a while, I was like, "Yo, bruh, it's not gonna click, man. So I'm gonna have to get off." And I remember walking past everyone to get off the ride because I was like in the back.
Yeah.
So as I'm walking by, there's laughing, there's snickering. I
Sure.
believe my mom got off the ride to try to come like console me, and I'm like, nah, just chill. And ironically, I got off the ride, and I think I went to get something to eat, and I was just kind of like, all right, whatever. I was hurt, I was embarrassed, but
Sure.
um, that was a pivotal moment. But it didn't make a change. Probably my change came before I got to rowing. Right when
Okay.
I was at my previous college before transferring, um, they had cut the football team because other players was up there wilding up in upstate New York,
Hmm.
and I don't know what I was going to do. So I was just kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna let's just lose weight. And in the span of like a year, I lost like 100 pounds. So by the time I got to rowing and met
Right.
you,
Right.
I was already ingrained in at least that first time of let's just try to get in shape and let's just try to see how far we can take this. So um, it wasn't the pivotal moment that I guess sparked a change. It was just a pivotal moment as far as just recognizing like, wow, this has gotten really far.
Right.
You now can't even enjoy the regular pleasantries of life because of your size. So yeah,
My worst nightmare is taking my kid to the music party and not being able to push down on that bar, man. That's embarrassing. You know, I
it
can
was it
imagine
was,
as a
it was
child.
real. It was real.
Yeah, it was real. So, of course, you played football and you had a pretty decent career, right? At the college, from what I remember. You were into it. After
Did I
that,
right? Did I right?
yeah, yeah, you did okay. I mean, you were all right. I mean, you couldn't stop me, but you were
I
all
was all
right.
right. I was
So,
all right.
after that, you went into what did you do right after that? Did you start your gym right away or
Oh nah,
no?
nah.
Right?
Actually, so after school, I mean, you remember at school, towards the couple of years prior to leaving Glassboro, they weren't good years.
No.
So when I
Right.
got back to North Jersey,
Hmm.
I actually had probably gained. I was probably back up to over like 300 pounds again.
Oh,
Um, Depression, anxiety, uh, not knowing my
right.
self worth, not really knowing me.
Right.
Um, a lot of external validation, all those things. So when all that began to subside, it was kind of like, well, what do I do? So I worked in the educational field for a little bit,
Hmm.
and then just trying to get myself back in shape just by going to the gym. I happened to people begin to gravitate towards me just because they saw the physical change, they saw the commitment, the discipline, and that's what led me to getting certified. And then from getting certified, my first gym, I was training this police officer, and he lost like 60 pounds. And he was just smitten. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like 33 years old. I'm just ready. I'm always on
Right.
go. So,
Right.
he proposed like, I'll invest. Why don't we open up a facility?
Right.
So I did that. That one lasted for about 18 months, but that wasn't it wasn't aligned. Who I was with, it wasn't a good business relationship.
Okay.
So after that, you just bounce around, you're training,
Yeah.
but you're still building up your tribe, your resume.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then right after COVID, I was in a position to open up a second facility. So I did so. I had that for about 2 years, closed that one down. And yeah, it's been, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of trainers make is they think that owning a facility is the pinnacle of their career.
Hmm.
And I will give any trainer advice now saying a brick and mortar is not really necessary anymore. Um, you can build a successful business, a community, a tribe, whatever you want to call it, your legion, um, as long as your message is being conveyed online. So it just so happens that, I still train, obviously, in facilities. However, uh, it's ironic. I just, all the work I put in, I guess, over the last like 10 or 12 years,
Right.
it still seems to resonate with people, and probably more so now because of I'm taking just a much more transparent approach.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I mean, we could dive into all that, but training wise, nah, it kind of. if I'm being honest, man, I just kind of stumbled onto it. It wasn't even. It was just people seeing on a daily basis, kind of like what was going on and what what I was doing. That where I was at the time, people
Hmm.
just began to like, all right, I want to rock with you,
Yeah.
and that turned into an opportunity to go off and open gyms and really stick my toe in the business aspect of this whole thing. And it's just been a learning experience throughout it all. So, but the last gym closing, um, yeah, it was probably kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
And it's definitely sit me down like a dark spiral. So to be here now, talking to people, putting the messages I'm putting out now, it's just a good feeling because I really didn't think I didn't even want to be here anymore.
So
So to
it
be,
got that bad for you. It got that bad where you were just like, I don't know what my self worth is, and I guess like I mean, was it suicidal? Like that's what you're saying? Yeah.
oh, Mark, bro, it was. I want to make sure I say the term correctly for anyone that may have gone through it or dealt with it. But the suicidal, I believe it's ideation, was
Okay.
so severe. Um, I would plan out how I was going to kill myself,
Ooh,
um, to the
Jesus.
degree of like it didn't even like once it didn't scare me anymore. I knew that something's got to give because now, like when you think that type of stuff, anyone in a rational mind, that's not comfortable. Like you're not
No.
supposed to just kind of shrug that off. But
Yeah.
I got to the point where it was like it wasn't even really a big deal. It was more so like, yo, so um, yeah, how we gonna do this? And I remember one morning I was actually driving from the gym. It was probably like 5 a.m. and gentleman that was my friend at the time, I actually called him and I'm like, yo, so I'm passing over this what do you want to call it, overpass, and this is when I had a big Ford F-150, and I'm like, yo, dude, I think if I turn the wheel like hard enough, I could rip through this and just land on the highway. And I'll never forget his response. He was like, you can't kill yourself because I don't know what I would do with myself.
Right.
And that's such a selfish response that I just started laughing. And I was like, let me get this straight. You're telling me I can't kill myself because you're worried about what it's going to do to you. And for some reason, that laughter just kind of diverted my focus from what I was going to do. And I just drove
Right.
home. But that was like an everyday occurrence. I used to look out my window and be like, yo, if I was to jump, I'm just a little afraid that because I'm so muscular and because of whatever, I don't think I'll die.
Right.
Like I think I'll hit the ground and like hurt myself, but like
Right.
not die. So
Right.
this was going on. The day it got the worst is when I probably sat in my bathtub for like 3 hours and I just had like knives all around me. And I'm like, yo, you should probably just if you do it, like it'll happen real quick, but damn, they're gonna discover you in the tub. And
Right.
like your kid is gonna walk in here on that.
Yeah.
And so it got really dark, bro. It got really, really dark. And yeah, just to be able to talk freely about it and confidently with conviction because of where I am at this moment,
Hmm.
I understand now that it was all for this purpose.
Right. What do you
And it
say
just
when
so
people?
happens that exercise is just like my excuse me. It just happens
Sure.
to be my vehicle to draw people in.
Right.
Like
What do you
yeah, I
say
work
when?
out or whatever, but
What do
go
you
ahead.
say when people often say like suicide, like that's selfish on your part? Like they'll say, well, why would you do that? That's just selfish. You're leaving all your friends, your family, your kids, your wife, mother, dad, whatever. What do you say about that? Would you do you consider that selfish on people that think that or do it, actually go through with it?
I think that's selfish. I think that word is subjective.
Okay,
Um, it's
fair
not
enough.
fact. So for
Right,
me, I can most certainly understand that perspective because that's one that you're going through mentally on your own. Because you
right,
who wants to do that really?
right,
The issue is that your perception and your reality at that moment is so skewed that you don't see that. Or you do. In my case, I definitely saw, as I just mentioned,
right,
if I take my life and my daughter has to see me.
right,
Um, it was always selfish. But even in that explanation, or even in that description of how I felt,
right,
there's still shame in that. There's still, I don't want to do this because I don't want to seem weak, or I don't want someone to find me. It's not the issue of like, I'm not well, so I need help.
right,
It's almost like, I don't want to do this to cause myself more embarrassment.
right,
So you're still looking at it that even after death, I'm still an embarrassment. So I
right.
definitely can understand someone's perspective from the selfishness standpoint, but I would ask that same person to understand or to try to put yourself in that person's shoes. If someone wants to take their life,
Hmm.
you need to like just try to think about that. Think about where you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that you actually want to not live.
Yeah.
Um, so I just try to, even when I have conversations now, I've understood and realized. Like I went to a lot of therapy, a lot of self work, a lot of shadow work, bro, a lot of dealing with my trauma. And one
Hmm.
of the things I had to realize was that I was not really able to effectively communicate. And um, even when I look at discussions now, a discussion is nothing more than a debate to me. All of them. I'm no longer trying to prove that I'm right in anything I discuss. What I'm trying to do is hear where you're coming from. And I would ask that it's reciprocated. And therefore, if we can still walk away amicably and understand that we don't see eye to eye, but I understand where Marco's coming from. And I would ask the
Right,
same regarding myself.
right,
So that's just kind of how I walk around now. I want to know how others feel, not to advise them, but just to try to find commonalities or similarities, rather, in whatever it is that I may have faced that can kind of assist you on the way. So
again, so I'm going to ask the question, what was the turning point where you were like, I got to snap out of this? And what steps did you take to break out of it? Because well, I see you now, I see you thriving, I see you communicating, I see you live, I see you on, with other motivational people that you're lining yourself with. I see you starting to make, because you were persona non grata, man. You were there and then you were gone. I didn't know where Earl was, where you were. I had no idea. So was there a pivotal moment where you again snapped out of it? Could have been a dream, could have been looking at your kid in the eye. I mean, a lot of stuff. When I get anxiety or depression, because I do get, I am an anxious person nowadays. Depression once in a while. I look at my kid. I'm like, all right, let's snap out of it. Like whatever you got to do, you got to do for this kid, and you got to keep pushing and pushing. What was the pivotal moment for you?
I think after that day in the tub, I just was like, yo, either tomorrow you're gonna kill yourself or you're gonna start doing something. Like
Right.
I stopped working out for like a year, some change. I probably had
Wow.
gained like maybe 70 to 80 pounds. I had given up on life. So I think at one
Right.
one day it was just kind of like, yo, either you're going to do this or just do it, fam. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to go through this mental anguish every single day.
Yeah.
So I think the pivotal point was just that moment in the tub where it was like, all right, so you've literally been doing the same thing now, probably for like 9 months, which is barely functioning. It's progressively getting worse.
Right.
And it is evident around those around you, your child, whomever they may be. So you need to make a decision right now. And even in making that decision, work still has to be done.
Yeah.
And that's what I think people need to understand. Like, yo, I cried out to God so much, bro. Like, my stepfather's a pastor. Like, so, praying and this that, and the third. Until I just even my religious beliefs, I'm no longer. I don't claim religion. I've definitely tapped more into a spiritual realm.
Really.
And for me, um, I just think once I realized that nobody was coming to save me, even whatever you want to call God, I call the universe source energy now, because that's all we are just balls of energy. And however we choose to manifest that is pretty much how our life is going to turn out. So I began to look at, well, what got you to the bathtub?
Right.
What got you to that situation? And it's just a series of choices. And even when I think back of our time at Glassboro, like confusion, desperation, yeah, the vessel was cool, but the behavior was erratic. Energy was all over the place. Just so many things that I could see in my 20s that led me to that almost crucial decision being made in my 40s. So for me, I think, and that's how I walk around now. Once I understand and I realize, like, yo, no one's coming to save you. Like, you have everything you need to do this. If you believe in God the way that you say you've always have, and if you are a direct reflection of that being, then you are more than capable to pull off whatever it is you're trying to do. The issue is that you have to reprogram yourself, because like I said, I think back to the 20s and behaviors and things that was going on. That's all flawed programming. And when that follows you around, your brain is nothing more than the most complex computer there ever has been designed. And the one thing that it gives us is free will. And you decide what you do with that. So for me, coming to terms with stuff with myself, like, yo, you're a liar. You were a liar. Yo, you were deceitful. Um, you were all the things that are not good, is how I looked at myself. And then I had to come to terms with, yes, intertwined with that though is dualism. Because just as bad or whatever that I'm not working on or that I'm not the best at, I also have all the best qualities as well. And the issue is that you've just focused on those so much. A big problem is people try to always act like the things that they do that are not necessarily quote unquote the right things to do.
Right.
You still did that, but you're still fine. You're still perfect. You're still, that's again, to use the word, that's dualism at its finest. That's the yin and the yang. And I begin to embrace that inner child and embrace that shadow that was full of repressed traumas and anger, and my dad not being there and missing out on this and da 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 da, and understanding like, yo, it's like my child. If I begin to talk to myself like I talk to my children, I'll be fine. So I begin to do that every single day, because I really want to reiterate that, because you asked, that is a very poignant point when you just said what was the moment. So even with the moment, so once the moment happens and reality shifts, you have to instantly go into the realm of thought where I got to do the work though.
Yeah.
So the same way where people do reps to build your body, and I want bigger shoulders and bigger arms, what's the first thing I'm gonna tell them? Yo, you got to show up every day, and you got to do reps every day.
Right.
When someone's coming from a negative mental standpoint, that doesn't just change. That's probably one of the most frustrating things for someone that's going through something, when you hear that term snap out of it.
Yeah.
Because if I could snap out of it,
Right.
I would. However,
Right.
you can, you just don't understand that yet. So for me, like, I had a big problem with what if thinking, right? And it was always like, what if the most catastrophic thing took place? Which lets you know that your imagination is firing on all cylinders, because you conjure up these most outlandish situations on a daily basis. So why can you not do that for the positive?
Right.
So once I started to do that, and in the beginning, you're not going to believe it. I want to stress that too. If you've been thinking a particular way for so long, and now you just start spouting these affirmations and this, that, and that, that's not believable, because you've been in this position for so long.
Right.
But if you just keep doing the reps, and then one day it just kind of happens. And that's where I'm in. Even if something pops into my mind negative now, it's so foreign that there's an instant conversation. There is no there's no spiraling. It's almost like, okay, well, this is foreign. This isn't how we think anymore. So what prompted this?
Right.
So I'm just a huge why guy. So for me, anytime there's something that's like, I don't know, man, I don't believe, I feel as though I'm so aligned with the universe right now that if something does not feel easy, it's not for me. Now, if I choose to still go along with it, I also look at that as like I'm sharpening my tool. So I purposefully know that I shouldn't be around you. I purposely know that I shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z with you. But you know what? I'm going to use it as a lesson to strengthen myself.
Right. Right.
For me, the bottom line is nothing external controls me anymore.
Right.
And for a lot of people, once you can understand that you hold the power, it just kind of changes the dynamic of everything. Like the way you walk around, your aura. It's like I used to always say, if I could feel internally how I look externally, it's a problem. And that's where I'm
Yeah.
at now, where
Yeah.
I work out and all that kind of stuff just because it's fun. I appreciate it now. There's no, like, I used to always say fitness saved my life, but that's a lie. It's not fitness. Discipline, accountability, self-discipline, self-accountability, those things saved my life. It just so happens that I know fitness. So I'm able to draw people in because of that similarity. But once we begin to talk, you're kind of like, yeah, man, so this don't got nothing to do with fitness. And that's my whole
Yeah.
point.
Right.
That's just one part of the puzzle. Balance is what I lacked. Emotional intelligence was nowhere to be found. So to pull myself out of the rut, to get back to your question, I knew the one thing that you should just always make me feel like, well, at least I'm doing that. I started working out again.
Mm-hmm.
And in working out again, I began to uncover other things about myself. So fitness probably prompted it because it was the one thing that I knew, hey, I know how to do this. Now, at that time when I first started, like today was my 350th day of doing fasted cardio. I told myself, yo, if you can just get a year of not missing a day and showing up, I don't care how the vessel turns out. I don't care none of that. But where you will be mentally, if you can just do this for a year. And that's what I did. And yeah, now I walk around with a superpower. And my superpower is I control my mind. And it's just like when you're building your body, like I said, it's reps. It's an everyday thing. It
Right.
gets easier, but if you're aware and are practicing discernment, there's a lesson in everything. There's a lesson in this conversation for me right now. And the lesson is all that you've been talking about, all that you've been conveying to your clients online, practicing. Like I practice speaking in front of a mirror now because I know that my platform is going to get so big because I asked for it. And that's what I mean. Anything I asked for this conversation, anything that I ask for now because of my alignment, it comes to fruition.
Right.
And when it feels that it's done with ease, that's how I know it was sent from source.
Right.
Sometimes things are sent from source, even what they seem like an opportunity, because he wants, I don't even want to say he, because the universe wants you to practice discernment. Like, are you paying attention enough to know that all that glitters ain't gold?
Yeah. Right.
And for me, just being at that space where I truly believe that I am all that I need, the fitness aspect of it is just like, oh yeah, I happen to do this too, and I'm
Right.
really good at it.
Right.
But trying to lead people back to themselves is really what my purpose is now. That is the purpose of my life moving forward. And it, like I said, my means or my bridge rather, is the fact that, oh yeah, we could work out.
Right.
But I really need you to understand that if we train for an hour, you got 23 of them by yourself. And if you do not have control over your emotions, if you do not have control over how you respond, like even when you brought up anxiety with you,
Yeah.
my first, like the first thing I would say to you was like, stop saying that word. Stop claiming that. Words have power. So one of the things I tell Trinity all the time, and this was my daughter who was huge on like, she loves witches, and witches use spells.
Mm-hmm.
And when we really broke that down, and it was like, well, what is a spell? It's words, which means words have power, right? And they fill their words with so much conviction that they know it's going to come true. Something's going to happen to you if I put this spell on you. Well, I just began to walk around like, yo, you've been putting spells on yourself for like 40 years, fam. Like, what do you really expect to happen? Like,
Yeah.
you've been preparing for the worst darn near your whole life. Let's just flip that switch. Let's just now prepare for the absolute best. But in doing that, you got to be aware. You got to be discerning. I told a client the other day, I said, look, she asked me a question, and I'm like, so this is going to seem very, I don't know if it seems profound to you or not, but it kind of hit me last night. I'm playing a game. I think I was playing Call of Duty or something. And I just paused the game and I was like, wait a second. So I've been playing video games my whole life where I had to have a strategy in order to move to the next level, right? Take it all the way back to Mario Brothers.
Right.
In order to go battle King Koopa or whoever at the time, I had to avoid this shell. I had to jump down this tube. I had to do a series of things so I could get to the boss, beat the boss, and move on to the next level. That's life. And
Yeah.
what would impede me from doing that in the game is making terrible choices. So when I make a bad choice, what happens? I die. I die so much that I get the game genie, so I can now have a book full of codes, so I could just play the game recklessly and understand that I still have 99 lives left, right? That was
Right.
Contra. That was a
Yep.
huge Contra thing.
Contra. Yep.
Up, down, A,
Up,
B,
down.
left,
Yep.
right, whatever that was.
Yep.
That's life. If you try to look at this like a game, play to win. What's the strategy? So for me, I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait to get to wherever to feel heaven. I want heaven on earth. So the way that I can get heaven on earth is how I think. I can create whatever picture in my head I want to every single day. So I've just chosen now to just think the most glorious thoughts I can possibly think.
Yeah.
If I shoot for the moon and miss, I'm still in on the stars. So it doesn't impede my thinking. So once I begin to just realize that life is like a game, and I'm talking about everything, bro, the people you meet, their characters. You got to look at them just like you would somebody in the game. All right, I'm on a quest. I'm playing Zelda, and I happen to meet this merchant who seems like they have apples. Okay, I'm hungry, but they poisonous. So now I take this apple, I die, I got to start all over. That's how I look at people. Like, you seem cool, but I got to get through your persona. I got to get through your ego, and then I can finally meet you. And yeah, man, that isolation at one point was weird.
Yeah.
Because it was like you feel alone.
Right.
But that isolation now is greeted with open arms because I can just tell, bro. Like, it ain't even really gotta take me long. Like, the way you move, the way you talk, what you post. I could tell when you ego driven. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. Ego is not just being boisterous. I can tell when you are I can tell when you are deceitful, dishonest. I can tell when you're struggling with yourself, your own internal things. That's all ego, fear. All those things are ego. See, everyone thinks that being egotistical
Right.
means tooting your own horn and da 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 da. That's
Yeah.
surface level.
Yeah.
Ego was really all that repressed trauma you don't want to talk about
Right.
that causes you to not do or make sound decisions because of fear.
Right.
So I don't operate from that space any longer. That's why I'm so comfortable talking about the journey, because I understand it plays a pivotal role in whatever my next step is.
Right.
And it's me surrendering to the universe and trusting source and letting it be known, just lead me. Even if something that I think is for me isn't, I know it's because you did not want that for me.
Right.
And I think that's my ultimate goal nowadays is to anyone I speak to, for them to leave a conversation with me understanding that I have all the tools necessary to do everything that's necessary.
Right.
The real issue is humans are lazy. You could talk about being lazy getting in shape physically, or you could talk about being lazy getting yourself in shape up here.
Right.
And if you get your mind in shape, the body has no choice but to follow. But reprogramming and working on your cognitive behavioral skills, that's not easy. All my years of therapy, I literally had to learn how to think again, how to think differently, how to challenge myself when I thought something that wasn't relevant to the things that I'm trying to accomplish.
Right.
And that took time and that took work. And once you understand that your ego's job is to do what it's doing, that shadow's job is to do what it's doing, it's to cause resistance, but don't get upset at it. Instead, nurture it and show love to it, just like a disobedient child. If you're gonna sit there and continuously put a belt to their butt or hit on them, and what are they really learning? They're not being loved, or
Right.
that style of love. I don't know how conducive that is to producing and raising the best human you can possibly raise.
Right.
So for me, I'm a huge advocate of talking to Trinity, especially about the fact that everything you need, you have between your two ears. The issue is, are you going to utilize it? It's like my phone. I don't know all the capabilities of my phone. I had no idea that I can do what I'm doing right now with you on my telephone,
Yeah.
but it's already programmed in there. And it's the same thing with us. We have so many capabilities. I mean, we have the ability to tap into the ultimate source of energy. And man, sometimes when I'm working out, let's just say I'm tired, I'll literally just look at myself in the mirror and be like, yeah, but the thing is, it's not even you. Like there's an energy in you that is not tired. So your
Right.
vessel is tired, or your mind, there's a part of your mind that's saying that right now. But
Right.
that's how we know it's not in alignment with who you are, because you ain't tired. And then immediately you snap out of it.
Right.
So
Uh,
to be here at this space with you, like I said, is confirmation that I know, because we don't talk like that. Um, I don't know who sees what I post and who doesn't.
Yeah.
But to know that you're like, yo, I see you, like
Yeah.
that's big to me,
Yeah.
because my content in itself has changed. I used, selfie king and
Yeah.
this and the third. Like, I'm off that,
Yeah.
because when I lost the vessel, what was left of me?
Right.
And to be at a space now where I understand that this is just a shell, it's an avatar. So if I think about just my body as a video game, just watch the movie Avatar. When my man
Right.
climbed up in the joint, was moving around the robot, like he controlled it.
Yeah.
So how am I going to control my avatar every single day? And depression for me is like Jim Carrey has a quote, and I love it. He was like, depression is nothing more than the current avatar you are playing in doesn't want to do this anymore. And once you understand that, that's the start. But then it's kind of like, okay, now what? I've been this way for so long. So now what am I supposed to do?
Right.
And that's the part of it where I can't help anyone. I just want to be honest and be like, whatever it is that you choose to do, I need to understand that you're going to have to do it. No one is coming to save you, man. No one is coming to give you a lobotomy. No one is coming to remove the brain you have and give you a different one. No one's
Yeah.
coming to change your thoughts. It's all you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's what you described too was pretty much the music business, right? The ego driven, the the insecurity, everything you described is what is the nonsense that's the music business that I've been dealing with for 10 years now, right? That's funny you said that, but 'cause that's the first thing that came to my mind. But like you said, like the anxiety part, don't give it a name. I mean, it's gotten to the point where sometimes where I'm going to visit my mom and dad in Florida, nice trip, nothing to worry about, and I can't even get on the damn plane. Like that was years ago. Like I'm good. Like you said, like I kind of listen. I know it's. I don't know if it's so much taboo as it was back in the day, but therapy helps, right? Talking to somebody that doesn't know you, that that helps. That helped get me through divorce. Um, you know, at one point bankruptcy. I'll tell you that story off the air. You won't believe it, but bankruptcy that had nothing to do with me. But it got me through that. At the same time, getting divorced, it was just It was the worst time of my life. But therapy gets you through it, man. And I'm an old school Italian, so I'm like, I'm not telling no stranger. I'm old school. I ain't doing that. Man, best thing I ever did was go talk to somebody. Best thing I
and
ever did.
therapy worked for you because you were receptive. That's the
Yeah,
other thing when it comes to therapy too. First of all, I'm in complete agreement with you. It's amazing. I think everyone needs it. Everyone's
agree.
we're nothing more than grown versions of our child selves. So
Right,
you got to unpack so much, and if you do not know how to do it yourself, you most certainly should seek professional help. The thing about
right,
that is, it's the same way we're getting a trainer. I can tell you what to do, so I'm blue in the face.
right. You gonna do it?
But if you
You gonna
choose
follow
to go
through?
the opposite direction when I'm not with you, then nothing I say works.
Right.
So the therapist can sit there and give you this incredible outline. Yo, you
Yeah.
got homework. I need you to watch
Right.
this. I need you to do that. And then you just go outside and just do the same things you've been doing. Then you're going to start blaming the therapist.
Right. But I give you the
Truth
tools.
is,
They give you tools. They give you the right tools. If you're not
that's
going to
it.
use those tools, then it's not the therapist's fault. They're giving you the tools on how to deal with anxiety and why the past 7 years I've been able to get on a plane. I still have a little bit of anxiety, but not to the point where I can't go see my mom and dad because I don't want to get on the plane for whatever
Mhm,
stupid reasons going on in my head. That makes no sense whatsoever.
mhm.
I make shit up in my head, even when something good happens. Still to this day, I got plaques on my wall. Right, something good happens. I'm like, I'm just waiting for that other hammer to drop. That's gonna take my shine away from me. Something, I don't know. Who knows? Something will happen. It'll just ruin my day, or ruin my week, or ruin my life. I'm waiting for the hammer, and it never falls.
Well, that's so that's resistance. That one of my favorite books that I read. I've read it at least 10 times. It's called "The War of Art," not the art of war. It's
The
called "The
war of
War of Art." And
interesting.
something that they talk about religiously in this book is resistance. And what you just described, that's what it is. What that is it's like I said, it's skewed programming. I put a post
Right,
about that a couple of weeks ago. I said, you ever notice when you just everything is going right?
right.
Everything is going right. And then some random crazy thought pops in your head, right? The issue is when that random thought pops in, you chase it. What I
Yes.
started to do, which just changed the neurons of my brain. That's all you're doing, bro. You're just changing the
Yeah.
wiring. Like I simply begin to I begin to name my resistance, right? I used to just call like, oh, that's procrastination, Earl. Oh, that's fat Earl. Oh, um that's fearful Earl. Like there's those are nothing but little boys inside of me that weren't protected, loved, provided for the right way. So now when everything seems to be going correct, they have to poke their head out. What I'm not going to do is ridicule you, though. What I'm going to do is explain to you, listen, I hear you. It happens sometimes when I work out. Amazing workout. Everything is going great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like something will happen in my head. And I'll be like, here's the thing. And I literally have, like, I talk to myself so much. I'll be like, so at this very moment, everything is going good, right? Got up, prayed, worked out, trained people. Everything is love. But you just thought about, I don't know, something crazy from, let's just throw something nuts out there. Like, damn, what if I was to go out to drive the car, drop the kid off, and like get in an accident or something, right?
Yeah.
The difference is me back in the day would have really like followed that accident.
Yeah.
Oh man, if this happens and this happens. Now what happens is like, all right, cool. So you just upset that I'm paying you no attention and I'm really, really enjoying my workout right now.
Right.
But I want you to understand that I know you're in there. I love you. I respect you and I appreciate you, but you no longer have control over my actions.
Right.
So eventually, you're going to just stop talking. And then after saying these things over and over to myself all the time, it's to the point now where like if something pops into my head, I laugh.
Excuse me.
And because of how I live the rest of the 24/7, I understand, yo, it's just you doing your job. It's like your kid when you're trying to program them and they're not listening.
Right.
And they combative and they don't want to do X, Y, and Z. They're just doing their job.
Right.
So that little voice that's telling you how to get on that plane or this, that, and the third, that's not the Marco right now.
Right.
That's all the programming from before that does not want to see you be great. See, the biggest hater or the biggest everybody talk about is you. It has nothing to do. That's the biggest problem with where we are now as a society is that everyone allows other people to have control over how they feel. And that was me as well. External validation. How am I viewed? Who's liking this stuff? Bro, I could care less at this point because
Right.
I'm literally doing this for me. When I post, I'm posting for who needs to hear it. I say it every day. I only need what needs me. I don't want anything else. I don't want to force nothing. I don't want to not feel appreciated. And I
Right.
know for a fact that I'm so adamant at that. Like I said, sometimes the universe gives you things, gives you people. It's all to practice your discernment.
Yeah.
So even if I'm presenting you with X, Y, and Z, it still may not be good enough or what you need, but I need you to recognize that you don't need it.
Right.
And I just begin to trust so much in a power that's outside of me that I no longer seek any form of validation from anyone other than myself. And I'm so proud of myself now because I just realized that even the word humble, I don't use that new word anymore. I'm the complete opposite of humble. Humble means meek. I'm not meek. I practice humility, but I'm an extremely proud human being at this point.
Right.
And that is my number one goal in everything that I do is that if you come in contact with me, I don't care if it's one conversation or many, I need you to understand that you have the same thing in you. The issue is, which uncomfortable do you want to be? Do you want to be the uncomfortable that suffers from depression and anxiety and no self-worth and self-loathing, and or do you want the uncomfortable, or you want to be the uncomfortable that, so this don't feel good right now, but I understand that a light is coming.
Right.
And I just made that decision. Yo, you've been uncomfortable in the gym all the time. Some of my workouts, they don't even make sense because it's like, yo, you don't have to do this, but you just enjoy the fact of being that uncomfortable because you
Right.
know growth is coming. It's
Right.
got to be the same thing with your mind. Listen, I got to get uncomfortable and make a change because if I don't, I'm not living, I'm existing. Living is challenging yourself on a daily basis mentally, to me, to be the best human being you can possibly be. And like I said, if I'm trying to have heaven on earth, then that means that I just want my mind to be as heavenly as possible. I want to have such a high level of consciousness where I'm no longer seeing things in 3D. I don't even see people. Like I said, I don't see people anymore. I see your energy. I see how you move. You don't have to open your word. You don't have to say a word. Your energy speaks long before you even opened
Right.
your mouth.
Right.
So for me, tapping into that, like I said, but that's lonely because
Right.
everyone doesn't operate that way you do. So that's why you have to learn integration too. Like once you make that switch, but then you begin to try to integrate yourself just with societal norms, and you see how people behave, and you get to really actually see people and learn people. It's disheartening
Right.
because there's individuals that I thought you was cool. Nah, you just saw me through a lens at a point in your life where you couldn't really see me for who I was, because you were still, we were vibrating the same. Vibration is real.
Right.
And I feel like I'm such a magnet now. Like I said, it led to this conversation. This conversation only happens because of what I'm putting out into the universe.
Absolutely. I mean, I would never have even thought. Oh, where'd you go? There you go.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I would have never have thought about it until like your recent content that I watch. You went live with another a woman that's kind of similar to what you do, and I was in there for the whole thing, and it intrigued me. So, um,
I appreciate that, man.
yeah. So moving forward, wrapping things up, is there, so your platform, you have plans to move this platform along and help people? Is there, if they don't live in Jersey, if they live somewhere else, is there a way they can get a hold of you? You know,
Yeah, you could. I mean, definitely on the gram.
mhm.
I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I actually just put out a post today, and I got a good response in my DMs regarding I want to start a support group
Awesome.
um, for no charge, nothing like that. I just want a
Right.
group of people that keep each other accountable.
Okay.
Um, One of the things you just mentioned is like we talked about therapy and talking.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes just being in the group, from playing football and things like that. Like I've
Mhm.
always wanted, I'm just a team type of individual, but I'm a leader, and I understand that now, and I walk around with that proudly. So for me, one of the things that I'm really trying to do, and I'm adamant, is I want to have a support and accountability like meeting once a week, go live with people who have questions or just want to share how they're feeling, and
That's awesome.
we all just collectively come together to assist those that would be in need of assistance. I want to start a podcast. I've been approached about it, but I'm taking my time with it because I have a vision, and I simply want to talk to people that have made transformations, but not really physical ones.
Mhm.
Because the changing your body physically, it's very simple. It's science, bro. Like people don't really want to it's just science. Like
Yeah.
if you want to lose weight and you eat less and work more, you'll change.
Yeah.
It's just an issue of it's uncomfortable and people don't want to do that. And I don't want to push that on anyone. So
Yeah.
I don't care about that. My thing is if you get this right, you're gonna naturally want to get this right. You ain't gonna be walking around feeling X, Y, and Z up here, but not happy with how you look or happy with
Right.
how you feel. It's
Right.
it's a natural progression. The problem is everybody wants to try to change this first. And then when this stops working or something happens here, this is not strong enough to deal with that circumstance.
Right.
You get this strong, no matter what happens here, you're good.
Yeah.
So that's my main mission now. Like I said, we are all uniquely created with gifts and talents that you can't even fathom. And so many people are believers and they believe in God, and I love that. But my thing is, if you are a direct reflection of this being,
Right.
then that means you are the creator's greatest creation. So walk around like that.
Yeah.
Whatever vision you have for yourself, whatever you want for yourself, whatever you see for yourself, even if you're current reality does not show that. My mother used to say, fake it till you make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just, you know what I mean? Me, I walk around like I'm already on a billboard. I'm already being sought after to speak. I'm already being invited here to do X, Y, and Z. So all you need to do is prepare yourself for when I allow you to do so.
Right.
So just this conversation, this entire time, this whole year of doing X, Y, and Z, it was preparation for this podcast. Like that's how I
Yeah.
look at everything now. Everything I
Right.
do now, I may not see the fruit of it at the moment when I'm doing it, but I'm always ready. I don't have to get ready.
Right.
That's the lesson.
Right.
So anyone that wants to contact me, you can definitely, at the moment, the best way to go would be Instagram, and I always respond. And I have a special place in my heart for those that struggle emotionally or mentally because
Right.
I didn't take medicine. I didn't. I mean, it did get to the point where I was so scared of what I might do that I actually checked myself into an inpatient and stayed. You know what I mean? Had to like go there all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And even the therapists there were like, man, like when you tell me your background, like it's interesting that you're here.
Right.
And I'm just like, yeah, I know, but I think I've been preparing to be here for a long time.
Yeah.
I think once everything crumbled, it led me right here. And I'm not saying that it helped, but it just let me know that at least it got so bad that it was like, oh, you got to do something.
Yeah.
And I will not give anyone else credit other than myself for pulling me out of that.
Sure. Of
It
course.
was not a therapist. It was not God. Um, God don't help those that I was always told God does not help those that help themselves. And prayer without no faith without works is dead. So to me, that means you can have all the faith in the world you need, you want, you desire. But if you are not ready to put foot to ground, pen to paper, nose to the grindstone, whatever you call it, it's futile.
Right.
So ultimately, it is all a personal decision. What do you want out of this thing called life? And for
Yeah.
me, I'm living what I want now, and that is to be the best human I can possibly be. Anything that comes after that, again, I keep using this podcast as a direct reflection of my energy because I made a conscious decision. I had to sit with that. Like, yo, you about to
Right.
come back and you're gonna be talking kind of different. You talking about the mind and emotions and spiritual growth and healing journeys. And you wasn't talking like this before. It was working out and come check this. And I still love the workout. I still love fitness. You're gonna see, people, but that's not mine.
Yeah.
That ain't it, bro. Because
Yeah.
when everything stopped and there was no fitness, I was so tied into how I looked that when that changed, I didn't know what to do
Yeah.
because that's how people saw me. Now what's happening is, oh, yo, bruh's really intelligent and really got some things to say. Oh, and by the way, he works out. Oh, and by the way, he looks X, Y, and Z. Like, that's what's important to me now.
Right.
I really want to be commended for the way I speak, the way I lead people, the way I just take this game seriously.
Yeah. You
And for
should.
me, that's how I feel now. I figured the
Yeah.
game out, man.
Yeah.
The Matrix told us, like, once Neo said, I'm the one. And that's how I feel now. And it has nothing to do with anything I can do physically. I
Right.
feel like I'm the one because I'm in touch with myself.
Right.
I'm in tune and I'm aligned with the energy that created me. And that makes me feel like anything is absolutely possible.
Right.
So to go from the man sitting in a tub and want to take his life and really, really drawing out, mapping out how I'm gonna do it and to be on the other side of that, proclaiming the absolute beauty of being here, I most certainly am at this stage in my life like a walking testimony. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that I am being used to bring others to that space.
100%.
Once I surrendered, everything changed, man. But it wasn't easy, bro. It wasn't.
No,
It was hard, man. It was hard,
of
bro.
course it was. Of
There was
course it
nights I
was.
didn't even want to go to sleep. I didn't want to go to bed
Yeah.
because I didn't want to wake up and just do the same. It was a lot. So to be here
Yeah.
now, it's profound, and it's not a lot of sophistication in how I'm trying to present it because it's not necessary. Listen,
Right.
anyone that's listening, you have the same capabilities. Um, the difference is, are you willing to tap into it or not? You put all this effort into acquiring so many things externally or working this job for X, Y, and Z or this business, this, that, and the third, but you don't take care of your mind. That's bad news.
Yeah.
You are going down a slippery slope. And I just hope that your decline is slow and not rapid because at least if it's slow, you can kind of catch yourself. But if you fall off that hill fast, it's a chance you ain't coming back.
Right.
So it's just good to be. It's like I'm reborn, man.
Yeah.
I'm just happy. Like I'm just grateful. My
Right.
heart is full of gratitude at this moment.
Yeah. I could.
That's
I
really
could
how.
tell. I could tell where you're at. You're in a different place, and that makes me at ease because, like I said, we go way back, and you kind of disappeared there for a while, and to see you thrive in the way you are makes me happy because at this point of our lives, I need my people because you always be my people. I need you
Word.
to be in a good spot, so it makes me it puts me at ease. You know what I'm saying? So and that's why I wanted to have you on here, and just to tell your story, and hopefully it'll motivate anybody that listens to if it reaches one person, then it's a
That's it.
success.
That's
It's
it.
a success. So and at the end, again to I want to end this because you and I again, we go way back, and you still look the same. I said that before, like you haven't aged a bit. So you and I, music was a lot of conversation with you and I. You told a funny story how we snuck off from work. We went down to Atlantic City. We went down and we got a band. We won a band real quick and came right back before anybody knew we were gone. Right, that was
2 hours. 2 hours.
2 hours.
That
But
was
music
crazy.
was a big part, and like with the song I put today on the little promo video, like that song when that comes on, I think of you. I think of you because you're a big Dipset, and I'm gonna ask you a question, and I know you're not prepared for it, but I'm gonna ask. I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
I'm
Oh,
ready.
maybe you are. Maybe you
I'm
are.
ready. I'm ready.
Uh, top five MCs. Go ahead, hit me with them.
Whew, I'm definitely ready. All right. So it's
Go
changed
ahead.
over the years. No order or just five.
No, no order, no order. I mean, if you
All right.
want, yeah, give me your top MC, and then after that, it doesn't matter. Who's your all time MC, followed by four others.
All right. Tupac is my all-time favorite.
Okay,
Um, Andre 3000,
okay.
Scarface.
Oh, two more.
I gotta put Kendrick in mine.
Yeah,
I gotta put Kendrick Lamar.
there's no wrong answer to a top five.
Yeah, and my fifth, I gotta say Killer Mike, man.
I mean, again, there's no. I disagree, but there's no. There's
I
no.
know.
There's no right
The
or
thing
wrong. I
is,
have. You know.
a major.
There's no
I
right.
want to say. I want to say. Now my list at a different time in my life was different.
Sure, of
So
course.
as I've changed, my taste in music has changed. Like to
Yeah,
be honest, I don't even really listen to a lot of hip hop anymore because I see the programming in it now.
yeah.
I understand like it wasn't the best music to be listening to at a certain time of life. However, it's what we did. So
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
do choose to listen to hip hop now, the people that I'm listening to, there's a message behind everything they're saying.
Hmm.
But if I go how I used to be, where I used to be, my list is totally different. It's gonna be Jay. It's gonna
Hmm.
be first of all, I'm gonna add Nas to my list now and then. But it would be
Yeah.
Jay.
Uh huh.
It would have been Jay. It probably would have been Cam.
Hmm.
it probably would
That's
have
your
been
boy,
50.
right?
Who was I really like? Oh, man, timeout. But see, that's not right because on the list now, I gotta have Jadakiss then and now.
Yeah.
So my list now would be Pac.
Hmm.
Pac's always number one for me because he's a Gemini and he's just so multifaceted. His life
Right. Right.
was just one big bowl of
He,
confusion,
he's a
and you can
goat.
see it, and I love it.
He's a
But
goat.
it would be Pac.
Hmm.
Pac is always going to be there. I'm not putting Jay because my theory about Jay-Z is that if certain people did not pass away,
Hmm.
Jay-Z's not who he is. To be
I hear you.
honest, when certain people were alive, Jay-Z was probably like the fifth or sixth best rapper in New York.
Yeah.
So to me, you begin to get your climb when certain people weren't here anymore.
Right.
And I don't put Biggie just because of body of work. It's just not enough.
Not
However,
enough. I got you.
your two albums are legitimate classics.
Yes.
But, you know, we're to move plus from that. So to
Yeah.
look at a person like a Nas, or that's what makes Pac so unique, is that he wasn't here for that long,
Yeah.
but Andre 3000, I mean, you remember I was a huge Outkast fan, man.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's
I
that
remember.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah, and Killer Mike, I just think he did it,
yeah.
and I
I have
think
a
he
I have a hoodie that
and
has his top five.
I've been a fan of his. I've been a fan of his since 2002. So
Yeah. I mean, that's I don't remember that, but yeah. I mean, so my hoodie says uh Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Eminem, uh Biggie, and Nas. It's my hoodie. That's my hoodie with top five.
I can
That's who
respect
I
that.
that's who I think
I can
is
respect
top five. Again, you could put anybody, you could put Jay, and I mean you could put anybody in the top five hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so um but again, thank you for joining me, taking the time out. I really wanted to get your story on air, you know, and I hope your story helps motivate others, not only just fitness wise, like you said, it's more mental. It's the, you know, it's the mental journey that you have. So, you know, I wanted to get you on here. I thought it would be a great interview, and it was because you're so eloquently spoken as you always were. Um, here's your
Thank you,
chance to
bro.
sing if you want to sing if you want to sing a bar or two. Here's your chance. You don't have to.
That's definitely not happening.
You used to do it all the time. Now you ain't
I
doing
know,
it.
I know,
That's definitely not happening.
I
I knew
know.
it wasn't, but I just wanted to put you on the spot. Listen, I'm going to put you on the side here, and don't go anywhere. Don't hang up. Okay, I'm
All
going to
right,
end the show here, and I just again thank you, and I'll get back to you right after the show. So
no doubt, man. Thank you.
stay put, man. Thank you, man. I
Of
appreciate it.
course.
You got it. All right, man. My man, Jabari Nelson. I love it. Earl. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Thank you, Jabari, for tuning in. I appreciate it. This was a different show. Uh, I actually thoroughly enjoyed um, what he had to say and his journey from, you know, where he went and where he is now. It's inspiring. So, again, I can't wait for everybody to download this podcast. I didn't get a chance to see it live. So, again, you can find me at on Instagram at the manager Marco. Same with Facebook. Same with well, actually, YouTube is going to be the Not So Famous podcast, and anywhere you can download a podcast, Apple iTunes, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and so I appreciate everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm going to leave you with what I always leave you: don't take shit from anybody. I'm out.